Thanks very much, Acting Deputy. Well, this is extraordinary, isn't it? We're seeing the Labor Party join up with the Coalition to guillotine through laws, ram them through this parliament without proper scrutiny on the last day of a sitting week when they're trying to hide it behind other business, ram through laws that are going to supercharge the ability of ASIO to literally pluck you off the street, hold you in secret detention for 24 hours, interrogate you, force you to answer every question with the threat of going to jail if you don't. You don't even have to be suspected of anything. You just might be someone they want to talk to. Ram this legislation through, expand the reasons almost indefinitely for which ASIO can just pluck people off the street, and they're ramming it through today with a guillotine to try and get their dirty business of the security state, their dirty business of granting ASIO whatever power it wants. They want their dirty business rammed through under a guillotine while no one's watching. And do you know what? You look around this chamber, look at the speaking list. There's no one from Labor coming in to defend this. It's indefensible. The speaking list has collapsed from Labor because they know coming in and talking to this is like sort of going for a bath in toxic waste with the public. And from the Coalition, the ones who come out here and they'll trumpet about, individual liberty and all this fighting against the state, the Coalition are up to their neck. Agreed to the guillotine, ramming it through. This is a demonstration, Exhibit A, in what is wrong with this place. We're meant to be here protecting democracy. We're meant to be here protecting freedoms. We're meant to be here protecting people on the street from, well, let's be frank, this place. What Labor does in this place, what the Coalition does in this place. And instead, this place is doing a job on the people of Australia and trying to do it in the dark. That's what the guillotine's about. That's why no one from Labor will come out and speak to it, because they want it to go through without anyone watching what they're doing. It's a downright bloody disgrace. The Greens voted against this legislation when they first brought it in, the Coalition and Labor in 2003. We voted against it when they tried to constantly have the sunset never set. Extend the sunset time after time after time, and we're voting against it today. We are the only party that has stood in this place not to back in ASIO and secret state and secret detention. We're the only party that stood in this place every single time and said we're on the side of liberty and we're on the side of the Australian public. And we're doing it again today. And Labor and the Coalition are on the side of secret detention powers. They're on the side of plucking you off the street and having you interrogated in the dark. And get this, if this extension of the power goes through, they can pluck you off the street with a warrant. Call it a warrant. Let's be clear, a piece of paper. And do you know who's going to sign off on ASIO's powers? People might be thinking, well, surely there'd be a judge there, right? Maybe even a magistrate. Surely there's someone independent of government. Surely this couldn't be done by a politician, could it? But no, the person who signs the bit of paper to have you plucked off the street by ASIO and put in a dark room for 24 hours is the Attorney-General, a politician. That's what's being proposed here. Politicians can have you plucked off the street and secretly interrogated for 24 hours by ASIO or the AFP. And they want to expand the reasons why ASIO can do that. They want to expand it to include this concept of promotion of communal violence. And you read the definition of promotion of communal violence in the bill, and do you know what it says? It says whatever the bloody hell ASIO thinks it is. That's what the definition says. You could drive a bus through the definition. Now actually, when we look at other countries, we look at history, we look at how we lost democracy and freedoms. It happens with actions like this. Governments say, we need to do this. We need this extreme power over you to protect you. We need to be able to decide whenever we want, however we want, whoever we want, we can just monster them to protect you. And don't you worry, it won't be you. Oh, no, it's that lot over there. You know, they're coming after, maybe this month, they're coming after people seeking freedom for the Palestinian people. Maybe next month they'll come after some First Nations activists who are demanding their land back. Maybe next month they'll just decide to go full on against our neighbours and our friends in the Islamic community here. And maybe after that they'll come after unionists. Maybe after that they'll come after Greens. Maybe they'll put the Greens higher up the list. That's what's at stake here. Because that's what history shows us. You give governments these extreme powers and they use them. And you may not think they're coming after you first, but don't you worry, you're on the list. When will we say no to this? When will this parliament not be backing in ASIO, the secret state, the security state, whatever the hell the government of the day wants? When will we be backing in the rights of Australians to go about their life and not fear their own government? Because if this legislation gets through, Australians will have a right to fear their own government, because whenever the government chooses, they can pluck you off the street. So what happens in these secret detentions? Well, I gave a speech a few months ago in this place about a woman who finally felt that she could talk about her experience of being pulled off the street, compulsorily interrogated by the AFP because she'd attended a protest in the city. And you know, because she had been fearing being put in jail if she told anyone about it, she'd been fearing this for over a decade. She'd been plucked off the street in 2003 and she'd been in fear that if she told anyone, her mum, her dad, or her kids, her friends, she feared she'd be put in jail. And she could finally speak about it and tell me about it because she was going to take her own life because she had terminal cancer. And that's when she felt she could talk about it. She'd been keeping this fear inside of her for 2 decades. That if she told anyone about how she was pulled off the street, compulsory interrogated by the AFP because she attended a protest, she feared she'd go to jail. The only time she could speak about it, and in her last moments on this planet, what was in her mind was telling the truth about what happened to her and being able to finally talk about it because she didn't fear the consequences, not because the law had gone away, but because her life was about to end. And they want, Labor, the coalition, they want to extend these powers, do that to even more Australians. And that woman was never suspected of anything. She was just a witness that they wanted to interrogate. What happens under this law? Well, ASIO decides that, you know, your brother, your sister might have gone to a protest, might have signed a petition, might have had a chat in the pub, and they think, well, actually, we don't suspect you of anything, but you might have some information about, what is it? Promotion of communal violence, whatever the hell ASIO says. Maybe you're thinking about doing some disruption for a climate protest. Maybe you're thinking about protesting ASIO. I don't know. But they think that there was a discussion there about promoting communal violence. They go to the Attorney General and say, oh, look, there's a problem. This person doesn't like ASIO. They're going to have a go at ASIO. Or this person doesn't like Woodside. They're going to have a go at Woodside. And they say to the attorney, we want to drag them in and find out who they know, who they talk to, want to get their emails, want to get their socials. I want to drag them in. And the Attorney General signs a piece of paper and bang, you get a knock on your door, or you get pulled out of work, or you get pulled over on the street. They take you into a room and they can question you for 24 hours. You can bring your lawyer into the start if you can contact them, because they don't necessarily give you any time. But if they don't like what your lawyer's doing, they just boot your lawyer out. You there without a lawyer, you might be worried that something you say could get you in trouble. and you know, because you're not sure what the hell, there's no charges in front of you, you haven't been told what it's about, you're just being questioned, you say, I don't want to answer that. They say, if you don't answer it, we're going to charge you and put you in jail for up to 5 years. And then after 24 hours of this, and I think they have to give you a little bit of sleep at some point, and I think they have to give you some water. Give you a bit of sleep, give you a bit of water, wake you up again and question you again, and they spit you out after 24 hours. You go home, and your partner comes down and says, but bloody hell, where were you? I can't tell you. Your kids are saying, you know, Dad, Mum, where were you? What's happened? You missed the soccer. What the hell happened? And you're shaken. You haven't had any sleep. You're in the same clothes you're in. He says, I can't tell you. If I tell you, I go to jail for up to... I can't tell you. I can't tell you why I can't tell you. That's the law. That's the law you're backing in here. Who the hell does that? Like that is some of the most repressive laws you could do. Who could do that to a citizen? And they don't even have to be suspected of anything. And you lot want to extend this with extending the sunset clause in forever. And you want to increase the grounds on which ASIO can come and do this. Is there any wonder you're trying to slip it in a guillotine? Isn't any wonder? I look at the speaking list, not a bloody Labor politician on it, and the only coalition member who speaks on it is one of the...
Senator Shoebridge, I'll ask you to mind your language in this chamber.
Well, I withdraw. I withdraw that word starting with B. Not a Labor member on the speaking list. And the only coalition member is one of them who has the actual guts to come up and say no, but the coalition machine is voting for this. And none of them are willing to even put their name to it and come and explain to the public why they're doing this, because you can't explain. Because if you tell the truth, you'd say we're craven to the security state, and we'll do whatever the security state wants because you've done it every time. Every time. And you know what? The Prime Minister, the great shrinking man of Australian politics, who in 2003, when this legislation first came here, said never do that, said the legislation is without precedent in Australia's second... I'm quoting him here. It's on his website even. It's on his website. The legislation is without precedent in Australia's post-Second World War legal history. Its provisions potentially allow for the mistreatment of ethnic minorities, the suppression of dissent and the detaining and investigation of wholly innocent Australians. That's why he voted against it in 2003. That's his words. And then he went on and he said, an ideological struggle in favour of democracy and freedom cannot be won by giving up democratic values, freedom and respect for civil liberties. This is not a new struggle. Way back in 1800, British parliamentarian Edmund Burke told Parliament, bad laws are the worst of tyranny. That statement is as true today as it was when such a far-sighted legislator first uttered it. That's the words of the current Prime Minister, a person who has shrunk in office to a degree that it's hard to recognise. Because the same bloke who said that in 2003, that these laws are a threat to our civil liberties, that they are the worst of tyranny, he's now leading a government that wants to supersise them. And no one from Labor has the guts to explain how that happened. None of them. And of course their poodles in the coalition trot along behind them and say, security state, no worries, we'll give it to you. What's the point of you? Well, the point of you, it turns out, is to take freedoms from Australians, to take liberty from this country, to supersise the security state and to do it in the dark and do it under a guillotine because you haven't got the guts to actually have a committee discussion about this, to be interrogated in the parliament about your powers. You're happy to interrogate the people of Australia in secret and in the dark, but you won't even stand up in this place and answer questions in committee. That's what the guillotine does. What a disgraceful bunch of hypocrites you all are. We will oppose this law today, like we opposed these supersized security laws in 2003, like we opposed them every time you tried to extend the sunset clause, because the Greens fundamentally believe that the people in this country deserve rights to protect them against their government. And not only do we say it, but we vote that way. We vote on principle. We vote on our policies, and we're going to do it today.
Senator Shoebridge.
Second reading speech, if I may, that's standing in my name. And I also, I'll get in trouble if I don't do this, seek leave to withdraw Amendment 3796.
Thank you. Is leave granted? Leave is granted. We'll go to Senator Hodgins-May.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. And first of all, I wish to associate